Hello everybody, in this video we are going to be talking about Venn diagrams with sets. So Venn diagrams can be used to represent the relationship between sets. So if you look at this example here, the rectangle would be the universal set. So everything that is involved in all of the sets, the universal set. And the inner circles here are the sets themselves. So this is everything for set A, this is everything for set B. Where they cross is things that are in both set A and B. So for example, if I said I wanted to draw a Venn diagram to represent the set of A, this is what it would look like. And you notice I've shaded in the circle because everything that's in this circle would be in set A. I haven't shaded in the box because outside of that are things that are not in set A. So if I want to draw not set A, like this, A with the line over top, that means not A, I would shade the outside of that circle. Everything outside of that circle is the items that are not in set A. So I want you to try now, if I was to draw a Venn diagram to represent this. Now this means A or, that little symbol means or, B. So pause the video, try and sketch it out, and then start up the video again when you're ready. Okay, so here is my Venn diagram. I have my box to represent my universal set. I've drawn two circles to represent set A and B. And if I shade in everything in here, that is items that are in set A or set B. So they can be in A, they can be in B, or they can be in A and B. So I've shaded this whole section. Now if I want to draw a Venn diagram representing this expression, this is A and B, so the little upside down U is and, so it has to be in A and in B. So pause the video, sketch it out, and start up again when you're ready. Okay, so this would be the Venn diagram for A and B. I would only shade in this section here because this is the only section where the items are in A and in B. If you get a line over top like this, this means that it's not in A or B. So because it's over all of this, we would look at where is A or B, and then not. We want to shade the opposite of that. Where is it not in A or B? Okay, so pause the video, try it out, start up again when you're ready. Okay, so here is the Venn diagram. Again, if we look back to A or B, was this, right? This is A or B, so it's shaded all of A, all of B, and A and B. And if I want to shade not, I'm going to shade the opposite of that. And so we get this. Everything outside of those two circles is not in A or B. If the line is just over the letter, then this is saying not A and not B. So think of where you would shade for not A, where you would shade for not B, and where those two are both. So if it's the and, it has to be for both of them. So not A and not B. Give it a try. Okay, and this is that Venn diagram. So not A would be everything outside of the circle of A. Not B would be everything outside of the circle of B. So where have we shaded both of those times is outside of these circles. So this almost proves to us that not A or B is the same as not A and not B. If you have a disjointed set where they don't have any similar elements, then you would draw it where their circles are apart and there's no overlap of the circles because there's nothing that's the same, and we call this a disjointed set. We can also use Venn diagrams to represent more than two sets, like this. Here I have three sets, A, B, and C, and I've drawn them so they overlap. This whole circle would be set A, this would all be B, this would all be C. And if we look inside where they've overlapped, this section here would be A and C. This section here would be A and B. This section here would be B and C. And then in the circle here, this little triangle is A, B, and C. Now, if I shade just this section and ignore this circle, so this little bit here, that would be an A and C, but not B. This section here would be A and B, but not C. And this section here would be B and C, but not A. Obviously, outside of this would be not A, B, or C. But if we include it all, then it's in A, or B, or C altogether. Okay, so these get a little bit complicated as we start to really get longer and longer expressions that we're trying to represent. But what I like to do is take each piece of the expression and figure out where I would shade, and then depending on whether it says and or, I'm going to look at, well, where did I scribble in for all of them, if it's an and if it's or, where did I scribble at all, right? Or combines them and says, where does these overlap? Okay, so if I have an expression like this, we're going to draw a Venn diagram to represent this expression. You'll notice the brackets there. I'm going to look at where would I shade for A or B? Where would I shade for A or C? And then I'm going to look at where did I shade in both of them, because it's asking for A or B and A or C. Okay, so take a look at that again. Look at where you would shade for A or B, where for A or C, and then because I have an and in between, you're looking at where did I shade in both of them, and that would be your final diagram. So give that a try, and then I'll show you the answer. Okay, so this is that Venn diagram. So again, let's break this down. If I'm looking at A or B, then I would shade in this whole circle and this whole circle, right? A or B. If I'm looking at A or C, I would shade in this whole circle and this whole circle. So now I'm looking at each section of my Venn diagram and seeing where did I color in both red and green. Okay, so in this section, I shaded in red or green. In this bit, I did. This one I did. This one I did. And this section I did. But I do not have any red in the parts that's just C, and I do not have any green in the part that's just B and not outside of the circles. Okay, so do you see how I broke that down? I shaded in red for A or B, I shaded in green for A or C, and then I looked, because it's an and here, where did I have both colors? And that is going to be my final answer here, is going to be the whole circle of A because it's in both. And then this little piece here is also in both. Okay, try this next one. Okay, let's break it down. It's asking for not A or B and C. So we're looking at where would I shade in for not A? Where would I shade in for B and C? And this is an or, meaning I'm looking at anywhere I've shaded. So an and is where I've shaded both. An or is where have I shaded at all. And this is my answer. Okay. So for not A, I would shade everywhere outside of the A circle. For B and C, I would shade in this part here. This is B and C, is right here. And so I would shade everywhere outside of A, plus this extra little bit, which comes in for the B and C option. So this is my final Venn diagram. Okay, try this one. Here I have not A and not B and C. So I'm going to look at where would I shade in for not A, where would I shade in for not B and C, and because it's an and, I'm looking at where those have overlapped. Where have I shaded in both? And this is what I get. So again, for not A, it's anywhere outside of the circle of A. For not B and C, so B and C would be this section here. So to shade in not B and C, it would be everything outside of this section. And then I'm looking at where has that overlapped? Well, everywhere outside of the circles, plus the piece that is just C, plus the piece that is just B. Okay, and for my students at Niagara College, I want you to think about how you have done through this video. You're thinking about if you can draw Venn diagrams to illustrate set relationships. That was the goal of this video. So if you are feeling sad about that, you're feeling really lost, then you're reaching out to me to get some more resources and some help. If you think you're on the way there, but you need some more practice, then you're going to look at the exercises in Brightspace. And if you are feeling happy and good, I still suggest trying 1 or 2 exercises just to make sure that it is stuck in your brain, but then you're good to go.